Yes, welcome back as we enter into the last few segments of today's program on the News and Views show on Salam Media. Now, a very interesting story that unfortunately people have not known about in South Africa for a very long time and hasn't, I think, been brought up on our radio waves as yet is a humanitarian tragedy happening in the Congo due to limited access to local and international media, resulting from the combination of political hostility and worsened by the lack of basic transportation infrastructure. It's out in the eastern parts of the DRC, and I'm joined now by Alex Umpundu, who is from that part of the world, to describe to us what is going on with regards to the Banyamulenge people. Good morning, Alex, and welcome to the program.
Good morning. Good morning. So good to be here.
All right, Alex, tell us the Banyamulenge, who are they, where are they in the DRC, and what are their current circumstances?
Okay, Banyamulenge, we've got so many tribes in the DRC. Banyamulenge are one of those. We are situated in the east part of the DRC in South Kivu region.
Mm-hmm. And the tribe itself, the history of it, have they been there traditionally? Have they come from other parts of Africa? Because from what we read, many of the attacks are based on the premise that the Mulenge are outsiders and coming into the DRC.
All right. Firstly, I need to disabuse those ones who think that Banyamulenge are foreigners or Banyamulenge are refugee. Yes, Banyamulenge, historically, they've been in the DRC from the 16th century. And you know historically that everyone in Africa, you become to be a citizen of a particular country in Africa because of the scramble for Africa, because of the way the continent was parceled out by colonial masters in 1885. That's what makes everybody to be a citizen of a particular country in Africa. Banyamulenge were settled in their land way before that, much earlier, before Berlin Conference. So there's I don't think it's even misunderstood, but it's just an ignorance, and that's where the problem is. With the current situation now, there's rebels called Mai in partnership with the government, and what they're trying to do is to get rid of Banyamulenge in that particular territory.
When you say they are trying to get rid of them, what have these rebels, the Mai group, what have they been doing? How have they been operating with the government and some of the actions against the Banyamulenge?
Well, before it used to be like a tribal war or ethnic conflict, but at the moment, there's evidence that shows that the government of the DRC is working hand to hand with Mai because all the villages where Banyamulenge were living, they've been burned down, and their cattle were looted. On the watch of the government, there's even UN, United Nations there, called MONUSCO. There's a lot of peacekeepers watching whatever the massacre that's going on there. So there's a lot of evidence that shows that the government of the DRC is supporting fully the rebels Mai to kill Banyamulenge, to chase Banyamulenge away from their home.
And what would be the reason? I mean, besides them being viewed as foreigners, despite them living there for a very long time, are there any mineral resources? Is this a particular area of the country that is rich in some kind of resource?
Yes, DRC it's very rich in terms of minerals, but I do not think that's the cause. I'll tell you this: the ongoing massacre, the ongoing attacks on the Banyamulenge, it's not something for yesterday. It's not a recent story. It has been going on from, I think, the past over half a century now, from the 60s. Started as a tribal war, saying no, Banyamulenge are from Rwanda, they should go back to where they come from. And it started like that. So it's been a chronic, motivated ethnic attacks from a very long time until now. Yes, there's minerals, but I do not think that is a cause of the killings or attacks of Banyamulenge now.
Has there been any effort from the international community? You mentioned UN troops. There's quite a sizable population there of international, soldiers that have been deployed to the area. I'm almost certain that South African soldiers are also part of the mission in the DRC. Uh, but beyond that, what role has the international community played in trying to resolve this? As you said, now the DRC on the one hand, and potentially Rwanda influencing from the other hand.
I haven't seen any intervention from international community because people are dying on the watch of the UN. So if I had to describe for you what happens, that certain people went out of their villages because of the war, and they went to camp in front of UN, where the UN where there's a UN camp, and there's like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks, that the rebels came and the arm of DRC to attack the people in the camp of United Nations. So I do not think that there has been any intervention from international community.
Has there been any response from the Banyamulenge? Have they retaliated? Are they also armed and trying to fight back? Or have they been largely an unarmed population?
Yes, Banyamulenge, they defending for themselves. They trying to, when they come to attack them, they also attack back. They, in terms of defending for themselves, they have no another way of intervention. So they've decided to defend for themselves. But that is not enough. That can't really add anything, because the attacks of Mai Mai and the government is just too much for them to handle it.
Hmm. So, what is, yourself being based here in South Africa, what is your appeal to the international world and to people out there, uh, ordinary listeners here in the country and elsewhere where they may be listening? What is your appeal to them right now?
My appeal to everyone, Africans and the world, is to intervene in the matter and the crisis that's happening there, because the issue, the crisis there, and the world seems to be not really, as you mentioned before, to know the issue that is happening there. I'm just gonna say from the government of the DRC and from the people that lives in the DRC, to really try and sympathize with Banyamulenge, to try and call the government of the DRC to stop killing the Banyamulenge people. And I want to say, if anybody listening from AU, African Union, or Pan-African Parliament, or United Nations, South Africa, and elsewhere, to try and stop the government of the DRC to kill Banyamulenge.
Finally, EFF leader here in South Africa, Julius Malema, has spoken about Pan-Africanism, about the removal and creation of a united Africa, where people born on the continent recognize each other as fellow Africans without any distinction, and to remove this colonial hatred that has been placed in the hearts of many over many decades of oppression. What do you say about these statements of this South African leader?
Well, I think that's what we need as Africans. And the problem that we have is that we do not have a correct understanding of the defect, the effect of colonization that has left so many governments crippled. That's a problem. It's a time for Africans to unite and fight for this really effect for colonization, because the issue that's happening in the DRC is that people from people came, that's a common issue that we've got across the continent. We've got people all over that are the same. We've got Tonga people here in South Africa, you've got them in Mozambique, you have them in Zimbabwe, you have them all the way to Zambia. Same people, same facial features, same culture. It hasn't been any problem. That's the understanding that people should have. I really think it's time for Africans to come together and fight for anything that's going to divide them. And it's the time to stop the soft heads.
Mr. Alex Mbundu, thank you so much for your time this morning and for sharing with us the information about the Banyamulenge people and what is happening out in the eastern parts of the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo. Thank you so much for your time. We continue speaking to you in the future on these various updates.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have me.